You don't experience weather quite like this in Winnipeg. You don't get prepared for that.
As Atlantic Canada just experienced its worst storm on record, a couple of Winnipeggers who were caught in the middle are sharing their experience.
I did as much thinking and looking around as I could about what do people do here during a hurricane.
Brendan Summerholder, who's lived in Halifax for 11 years now, says that the biggest storm he's experienced was Dorian in 2019. So when he heard about Fiona making its way to the East Coast, he made sure he was prepared.
So the first thing that went through my mind was, okay, bring everything in that could fly away, have an understanding of who has a generator if power goes out for a prolonged period of time, fill the bathtub with water in case that becomes an issue.
He also says he did one of the most important things one can do when preparing for a storm in the East Coast.
And the thing that everybody does here, which has become a little bit famous since Dorian, is to stock up on storm chips.
Summerholder says he was one of the lucky ones who still had power throughout the storm. But Winnipeg native Aaron Newman was not as lucky.
We were without power for about 39 hours. And then since it came on, we've lost power 3 more times.
Newman says he's been living in Halifax for about 17 years now. So when he heard about the damages Fiona could bring, he was a bit skeptic.
Living in Atlantic Canada, we get hurricane warnings pretty frequently. And although we've been hit by some bad ones before, we've also had some warnings that turned out to be nothing more than a bit of wind or a bit of rain.
So I was expecting it to be kind of like the Dorian storm. So I kind of went into it being pretty much feeling like I knew what I was getting myself into. But I got to say that the winds were a little bit even more ominous this time around.
And while these East Coast storms are much different than the snowstorms Winnipeg sees, Fiona hasn't scared them away just yet.
You don't have the blizzards and the cold weather, but these hurricanes are something that does take some getting used to.
Just say I'm not moving back yet. I find it's, hey, Winnipeg is a wonderful place. I love it dearly, but, I'm not going to let a hurricane scare me back.
In Winnipeg, Sweeta Rassi, City News.